Okay, hi guys, we're going to try this. This is my first time doing a video with the whiteboard. I want to show you how the looper idea works. So really quickly, we have two buffers, okay? The one I'm going to call the record buffer, okay? And the other one I'm going to call the play buffer, okay? At any given time, we have an index, which is where we're either writing to the record buffer or playing from the play buffer. When the index gets to the end, it's going to come back to the beginning and it's going to keep looping, and that's what we mean by the looper, right? It's going to keep looping. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a sample out of the record buffer and out of the play buffer, and we're going to add them together, and that's going to be my output. Okay, so at any given time, as this is looping around, you're going to hear both buffers playing through the output. And initially it's filled with zeros, right? So you don't hear anything, it's silence. And occasionally when we hit the record button, we're going to be taking our input sample and recording it here. Now, if you need to hear the input while you're playing, which probably you do, then we're going to add that here. But I'm going to omit that for now just to make it clearer so we don't have a lot of wires all over the place. Let me just make sure we're rolling here. Okay, it looks pretty good. It's hard for me to tell if we are indeed rolling. So let me just double check. Yep, we are. Okay, sorry for the pause. Okay, so what are we doing? All right, the idea is that when you hit the record button, let's say at this moment in time you hit the record button, you're going to begin recording in this buffer here. Okay, and you'll hear it because we're mixing it out here, but we're going to start recording to this buffer. And when we hit record, we're going to set a point which we call the punch in point. It's just going to be a number. Okay, so PI is going to equal index at that moment of time. It's going to be put right in that spot. And then when we hit stop recording, okay, when we take off the recording, we're going to stop recording and we're going to put in the punch out point. And it's going to continue. So now what happens is I've recorded this section and it's looping and looping and looping. Both the play and the record loops are looping, and we're hearing both. So we hear the part that I just did, but it's not copied to here yet. We are going to copy this to here when we start another punch in. So now let's say at some point in the future I'm over here. All right, I've started recording, I stopped recording, and now I'm here, and I decide I'm going to start recording another one. So when I do that, we lose our punch in and punch out point because we've now said we're going to commit that. We are not going to undo that. We started a new recording, so my new punch in point comes here and I start recording a new one. But what I do now is I mark this spot here as a transfer point. It means while I am going through this loop, I am going to copy everything that's in this buffer from this point until I come back to this point, and I'm going to add it to the play buffer. It means everything that's in this loop at this point, because I started another record, is now going to be committed to my play loop permanently. And I'm going to probably clear it while I'm doing that. So as I go through this loop, okay, I start recording, okay, I hit my punch out point and I stop. But while I'm doing this, before I start recording, before I drop a sample in, I'm going to take this and add it to here, and then put in my sample. And I'm going to take this one and add it to here and put in my new sample. So I'm filling this up until I hit my punch out point, but I've been adding this to the bottom the whole time. But since nothing was underneath it, this is silence. But I come back here, this is not silence, and so I start copying this. Okay, and I haven't hit this point yet, so I haven't been told to stop. Okay, so I come up to this point and I'm clearing this as I go. Okay, because I've added it over. Okay, and so now what I've done is I've transferred what was in this buffer to this buffer, and when I get to this point, I'm done. So now both buffers are looping, and what do I hear? I hear the recording I did first, and it's in the play buffer now, and I'm hearing what I've just recorded now, and that's in the record buffer. I can undo it. So let's say I'm at this point here, and I press the undo button. What the undo button says is it says start clearing the buffer from this point. And so now as the buffer goes through, okay, instead of listening to the buffer, okay, I am going to clear whatever I hear here. and it's going to erase this, and these are all gone. Okay. So let's say that I now want to redo it. So when I get to this point, I punch in, I start recording, right? And then I punch out. This is punch in, this is punch out. And I hear it. Now I hear my two parts. And now I go to start another one in the beginning of the song. Okay, I start a punch in. It's punch in and punch out goes away. The punch in happens here, and I set my transfer. X is here. I start recording a new one, and I'm transferring over what was under it before I put it down. Okay. And since there's nothing here, nothing gets added. Since there's nothing here, nothing gets added. Since there's something here, this gets added and cleared away. Okay? And so I've transferred this, and this is as I'm playing, as I'm recording, right? I hit the punch out. That means I stop at this point, but I'm still transferring. I'm transferring until the loop comes back to X. Okay? So now what I have is as I'm looping, I'm hearing this and this and this, okay? Let's look at a situation in the next video. I'm going to pause this one so I can make it smaller. In the next video, we're going to show you what happens if I do a lot of punch in and outs in one loop.